So one thing I really like are maps and schematics on whiteboards of things. It just helps me process information. Maybe this will be helpful to some people versus the more typical track tutorial stuff I see online. So this is the S's, the uphill S's and turn 10, the complex at VIR that is probably the most exciting and also scares the most people. Probably responsible for more code browns and pants that get shitted than any other part of the track. It's a high-speed section, so you have a climbing series of S's followed by, I can't draw it all, so imagine this is there, and then a long left-hand sweeper that goes down the hill toward the oak tree turn. And so basically what I do is I'm at full throttle when I come out of the lower S's, which would be down here, coming up, and there's an access road. And at that access road, I'm track right, and then I'm going to turn in toward this curbing. I don't actually ever hit this curbing, and I'm aiming for the backside of the apex curbing. So kind of this, and then there's a right turn. It's not a sharp right, but it is you have to move the wheel to the right to get straightened out, because as you see, it's basically a straight line. It's not exactly straight, but there's a slight kind of this to your steering wheel, but it's for the most part a straight line. So you turn, I aim for the backside of this apex curbing, jump, I take all the curb, hit the curb. You do not want to hit the curb early because there's a hole right here, and that hole has claimed probably a lot of wheels, tires, and suspension parts. So you want to aim backside of the curbing, middle of this one, so you just jump it basically straight off this curb, and now you're set up for turn 9, which is a right-hand sweeper, and the elevation drop, so you crest the hill right here. So you kind of aim for the front side. It's a concrete curb only. I don't touch that curb, and then you're going to track out to the left on throttle. You do not want to lift anywhere in these S's if you don't have to, because what does lifting do? Lifting takes the weight from the back wheels and takes it off the back wheels as the car kind of, if the front is this way, and you're on the gas going, and then you lift, and that sudden lift can cause snap oversteer, can cause all kind of problems. So you want to stay on throttle up the S's and through 9. I mean, I even tell myself verbally in the car, stay on it. And then you're going to track out to the left, center left of the track. So one more time, at the entrance, at the access road, turn in, backside, jump this curb, aiming for the backside. You're straightened out over this one in the middle, and then you're going to kind of aim for the front side, tracking to the left, staying on throttle the whole time. I'm typically at most at about 120 miles an hour entrance, and I'm probably just over 100 at the exit. So I lose speed because, well, I'm scared. And I'm driving a street car with no aero. I want to drive that street car home. There's people that'll stay flat in it all the way. I am not doing that. I basically use the elevation as I climb the S's to bleed speed while staying on throttle. So I just maintain throttle. I typically shift to 5th gear here for a nice stable feeling. If I was in 4th, I'd be at too high in RPM, and I feel like the car would be jerky. If I hit a curb, my foot might move and it might upset the car. So 5th gear, and I just kind of cruise up. I crested at just over 100, and then oftentimes, because I'm on the gas, I'll get more into the gas and accelerate out. Now turn 10's the one that causes probably actually more code browns. So you've crested at 9 up here, and you're staying on the gas and maybe even accelerating down toward 10. There's a tree on the left. There's an apex curb and an apex curb, but this is all downhill. You can't see it. You just see kind of here. That's probably your brake and your visual of what you can see out the front of the car. Typically what I've done is I've accelerated a little, and then I do a brush of the brake. It's not a hard brake because I'm going over 100 miles an hour here. And I can tell you, my car is not going through this at 100 miles an hour. Even a great driver is not going to probably do that in my car. So you're going to brush the brake, and when this tree comes out of your peripheral vision to the left, you turn. So it's like a blind turn because you can't see this, but I can guarantee you when you turn, it'll come into view. And you don't really need to use that curbing. I've touched it before. I usually just there's a concrete, and then I think you call that the FIA curbing, the yellow-green stuff. I'll usually kind of brush the inside of the concrete curb. So you brake, turn, but then the trick is you got to get on the gas because now the car is light, you're off the gas, and it drops downhill right here. So as you're dropping down the hill, if you're off throttle, the back can come around, and that's what happens to people. They spin out, they go off, or they end up spinning, going off, catching the wheels on the track again, and going over to there's a tire wall right here. This has claimed a lot of cars over the years, apparently. So again, on the gas coming out of 9, brush of the brake, off the brake, start turning, floor it. And so when I floor it, I kind of do this, and you have a ton of track out on the right, and I'll usually hit the curbing just toward the bottom of where the curbing ends, and there's dirt out here. You probably don't want to hit that. And then you get it back to the left, down the hill for Oak Tree. So that's kind of my basic discussion of these two sections of track, or this kind of one large section. We'll have some video here, discussion with a video of me driving it. So I had to stop the camera here, but that's basically the line. So the turn at the access road, the right-hander, basically take the curb on the right, take the curb on the left, maybe brush the curb up at 9 and turn to the right. As you bled speed up, at least for me, bleeding some speed as I go up. Some people just flat it up all the way up. And then turn 10 at the tree, you start turning and get on the gas. Probably by the time you're touching or getting close to that apex, you want to I go full throttle down the hill all the way out to the right. Okay, so this is the Garmin Catalyst app that works with the Garmin Catalyst I have. It's a great tool for, I guess, a more basic analysis of information from the track. It's not going to have all the OBD2 data like your braking, throttle, all that kind of stuff. It's just basically speed and G-force and a video that tells you where you should be on the track. And hey, that's for me just fine. I've been really happy with it. You can actually compare with other people. I'm actually just reviewing my what's called an optimal lap. The last time I was there, a 2:15. My best lap around VIR was a 2:14 and change with an optimal of like 2:13. It's going to vary. So this is a good one though to look at, and it's just really going to be looking at speed. And you can see the red dot on the track. Let's zoom in a little bit more. And I'm going to look at these S's and turn 10. So we're going to be accelerating down out of the snake, the lower S's under the bridge. You can see I'm starting to get up, at this lap, I think I was about 115 Vmax when I entered the S's. And then you can see I bleed speed up the hill as I go up the S's with maybe one little blip. I actually think you can see 109, 110, 111. I'm not sure what that was. I could have actually gotten a little off the ground on that one curb. But you can see now we're coming around turn 9 at over 100. And then this next dip is the brake for turn 10. So I'm braking, turning, and I get down to a Vmin of just at about 85 miles an hour, and then start accelerating down the hill. So that's kind of what it looks like on the squiggle lines. You're not pulling a lot of G's there. Let's see. G-force. Let's see. It gets over 1 through the turn 10. I'm not going that hard here. But so one more time. About on this particular lap, about 115 and change. Bleeding speed as I go up in general, coming up to turn 9, which is the top of the S's, cresting just over 100, maybe accelerating a touch and then brake down to just under 85 and then accelerate down the hill. So that's basically for me a reasonable run up the S's. I certainly could, if I had more guts, less concern about risk. I think my car would hustle up the S's faster than that. But this is a comfortable pace for me, and I'm happy with it. All right, guys, here's some video from the last time I was at VIR. This was in March with the Tidewater Sports Car Club for their season opener HPDE. This is, I don't think, my fastest time ever up the S's, but it was a good run up the S's and through 10, and it's a consistent, repeatable thing for me, so it's worth using this as an example. So I'm going to run you through it a few times. I'll talk through some of it and point out on the track some features and points of reference for you. But so this is coming up to the bridge. This is on the bridge straight, just coming out of the lower S's, or it's called the Snake. And I'm chasing a M3 BMW E46. And so let's go through it. Okay, so turning into the climbing S's here. Maintaining throttle but losing speed because of the hill. And then turning into turn 10. And back on the gas, out to the right and down the hill toward Oak Tree. All right. So let's back it up and walk through it a little bit at a time. All right, so again, full throttle. I'm in 4th gear, but I shift to 5th about here. I just shifted to 5th. That lowers the RPM. It makes the car more stable at these speeds. And the first point of reference is the access road here on the right. The BMW has already started to turn. I'm going to basically start turning at the access road, and I'm aiming over here with the idea that this is a somewhat straight line once you come to the left and then make the initial right turn up the S's. So turning left, I'm aiming for the backside of this apex curbing, but I'm not touching it. Now I've straightened the wheel. There's a mark here on the pavement. That's generally my mark to turn right and head up the S's to straighten them out. The BMW's already made that turn. So right. Now, oops, let me back it up a touch. We're going to aim for the backside of this apex. I'm going to use all the curb. I'm just going to drive straight over the curb and straight over the next curb. I mean, they're not perfectly straight. You do have to give it some steering input, but you're not giving it a lot. Do not hit this part right here, that and this. That will destroy cars. I have a friend that blew out a strut on his Golf R doing that. So you definitely don't want to go off in this area unless I guess you absolutely had to. But you want to aim for the backside of this next apex. Straighten it, middle of that apex, and then at turn 9, you aim for, let's do it again, front side of that apex, not hitting that curb. You can see that divot right there. That's a pretty sharp edge. So you're going to aim for kind of the front side. I don't typically touch this curb. And you're going to stay on throttle through this. So I've lost speed up the S's. Entered at about 120, exited just over 100, but I've stayed on the gas the whole time, and I'm using the hill to bleed speed. I realized that a lot of people go up this flat-footed, full throttle. I could certainly go up it faster than I'm going, but this is just an example and typically what I do. So when you come around turn 9, sometimes I'll even say, you'll hear it in some of my videos, I'll say, stay in it. So staying on the gas. Now we see this tree on the left. The E46 M3 has started to get on the brakes. I'm braking here. You can see my speed just dropped. As soon as this tree is out of my peripheral vision, I'm going to make a left. Turn in, and I'm going to get on the gas right there. I'm going to go all the way out to the right, hit the curb, and work it back to the left. Let's do it one more time. This is good enough. Coming out of the lower S's or the Snake. Full throttle, getting it track right, shift to 5th, turn in, backside, turn in, backside, middle, basically the front, staying in the gas, brake, off the brake, turn in, on gas. I probably could have got on throttle sooner, but pulls you out to the right, and down you go. Now, one thing to note, on turn 10, let's look at right here. If you goof this and get loose, which I'll put a video clip coming up here showing me get a little wonky, and I've got a video of somebody that did spin. If something happens, you have to be very careful. There's a tire wall. Oh, there's a wall right here that goes down the hill. If you go off, look how much real estate you have. You just want to go off. You do not want to try to get back on the track, because what that can do, when you come back on the track, it can sometimes unright the car and send you spinning across into the wall. So you do have to be careful here if something happens. I'll also say that there's some pretty big bumps in here. I have a friend that went off over here, and in his video, maybe I'll put it in this one if I think about it. You can see a bit of a rough ride down the hill. So again, probably best to just go off in the grass. Okay, so here's a video of somebody that does make a mistake and spins his car out in turn 10. This was last year at an HPDE in the fall. I'm not faulting the driver of this car. I mean, stuff happens on track. That's why you have to be, really diligent about situational awareness when you're doing these, because you are driving fast and there's the potential for crashes. So I'm coming up around turn 9 at just over about 100. You've got some smoke starting right here. Let's watch. So he spun, probably just didn't get on the gas and got light. You can see I go around him. I'm going pretty slow here, 40. I was a little bit frustrated just because I had had another issue before that happened. But you can see he most likely spun coming through, and he's fortunate he didn't go back over into this wall. But it does happen. Let's watch it again. Let me get back. Okay, that's just fine. But it was good. I knew it was what was happening. I'm glad I was able to, not have to go off the track, but that does happen. All right, so here's a video of me going up the S's. We'll finish the overall video off with this clip where I'm going up the S's. I'm actually going up pretty quick for me, and I slid through 10 because I didn't get on the gas when the elevation dropped and my rear end started to come around, and it was a code brown. The pants were shitted. So let's watch that again. Definitely going up pretty quick. I mean, I maintained pretty good speed. The speedometer is a little off, but I definitely went across the top of this faster than I did in the earlier part of the video, but I didn't get on the gas here. So listen, I basically slid through 10. Scared me. That's it. Peace.